The galaxy had forgotten what fear felt like. It had been centuries since anyone dared to challenge the power of the Galactic Council. Worlds obeyed, fleets bowed, and peace was maintained through control and arrogance. When the humans spoke, no one listened. The message came without decoration, no threats, no demands. Just a single line sent across the interstellar channels. Do not cross the Terran border. The words reached every empire and alliance, carried on frequencies older than the Council itself. For a moment there was silence, then laughter. The Galactic Council met the next day. 12 species sat around a glowing table of starlight. Admiral Vareth of the Zalin Empire clicked his mandibles and laughed. Humans think they can threaten us with words, he said. Their planet is small, their fleet outdated. The others nodded. Amusement echoing through the chamber, only one voice. A quiet scholar from the Lyri Dominion looked worried. They have been silent for a long time, she whispered. Silence is never weakness, but her warning was ignored. Across the stars, humanity listened. Earth's skies were filled with ships preparing in absolute silence. No parades, no songs, only calm precision. Admiral Reyes watched from the command deck of the HMS Vengeance, a massive warship forged in the cold heart of Mars, its armor black as night, absorbing light instead of reflecting it. He looked toward the holographic projection of the galactic map and said softly, "They're laughing again." His second in command, Commander Lian, frowned. "Should we respond?" Reyes shook his head. "Not yet. Let them believe what they want. The time for talking is over." Meanwhile, galactic news channels mocked humanity. Alien comedians made jokes about Earth's imaginary power. Holovids showed apes throwing rocks edited with Terran military footage. The phrase "do not cross the Terran border" became a meme, broadcasted across millions of networks. Even schoolchildren laughed at it. But something strange began happening. Human colonies stopped transmitting. Terran trade ships vanished from public routes, and space stations once open to all species suddenly went dark. At first, the Council celebrated, thinking Earth was retreating, but deep in the void, human fleets were gathering in absolute silence. The Council sent small scouting ships toward Sol. None of them returned when asked for an explanation. Council commanders blamed technical issues, still pretending control. But rumors started spreading through the outer systems, whispers about entire patrols disappearing without a trace. A frightened merchant from the Velor sector reported seeing shadows moving through deep space, shapes that absorbed radar, light, and even gravity itself. His voice trembled as he told the story. "They didn't fire, they just watched. They let me go because they wanted me to tell you. Humans are awake." The broadcast ended, and for the first time the laughter began to fade. Back on Earth, factories ran without pause, producing weapons that even the galaxy's top engineers couldn't understand. Scientists worked under oceans and inside mountains, hidden from every foreign satellite. A single phrase echoed through Terran Command. They mocked peace. Now they will study silence. Admiral Reyes stood inside the command room of the United Terran Fleet, a massive hall filled with generals, scientists, and diplomats. "The Council ignored our warnings," he said calmly. "They call us bluffers. Let's remind them that humans don't bluff. We endure, we prepare, and when pushed, we finish what others start." The room fell silent. Far away, the Galactic Council prepared a meeting to discuss Earth's behavior. Mocking titles filled the agenda, dealing with Terran tantrums, primitive threat response, and containment of minor species. No one realized they were already being watched. Human stealth drones had infiltrated the Council's defense grid weeks ago. At that exact moment, a signal pulsed across the stars, unknown origin, encrypted beyond comprehension. It repeated one word over and over again: final. Some thought it was a malfunction, some thought it was a joke. But deep in the Council's security chambers, alarms began flashing red. The energy readings matched nothing in their database. The signal was coming from the edge of known space, from a place no ship dared to travel, Earth's outer defense line. The Lyri scholar who had warned the Council looked up at the flickering lights and whispered, "You should have listened." But no one heard her over the laughter still echoing in the hall. Back on Earth, as the moonlight bathed the silent surface of the Vengeance, Admiral Reyes gave the final order: activate the Ghost Protocol. Let them see the stars one last time before the dark reaches them. The bridge went quiet. Then the ship vanished from every sensor in the galaxy. The first Terran fleet had gone dark, unseen, unheard, and unstoppable. The galaxy still mocked them, but not for long. Because humanity had warned them once, and humanity never warns twice. Weeks passed since Earth's last transmission. The galaxy still laughed. Alien broadcasters filled the networks with jokes about Terran ghosts, comedians dressed as humans, pretending to shake their fists at the stars. Their audiences roared with laughter, none of them realizing how close that laughter was to ending. Then came the first silence. A patrol fleet from the Zalan Empire entered Terran space to teach humans a lesson. 5 destroyers, 2 cruisers, and 1 command dreadnought, all heavily armed. Their leader, Admiral Vireth, even announced live to the galaxy, "I will return with Earth's flag as a souvenir." It was supposed to be an easy mission. It became a nightmare. 72 hours later, every ship vanished from sensors, not destroyed, not damaged, gone. No signal, no debris, only silence. At first, the Council blamed solar storms, then pirates, then technical failure. But deep inside, they all felt something heavy crawling into their hearts: fear. In the following days, more fleets disappeared. Not just from Terran space, but from nearby sectors too. Colonies stopped responding, supply ships went dark, and even communication relays began shutting down one by one. The Council called it temporary disruption. But the citizens of the galaxy started whispering a new word: revenge. A shaky transmission reached the Council from the edge of the Velor sector. A single alien pilot. Pale and shaking, his eyes wide, he spoke in terror. "They are not using weapons, we know. Their ships do not glow. They move without light. They kill without sound. They are not attacking us, they are judging us." Then his signal ended with static. His last image showed the reflection of a black ship behind him, its hull marked with crimson letters, Iron Wing. The room fell silent. The same Council that once mocked Earth now sat in fear. The name Iron Wing was a ghost from history. An old Terran division that disappeared after the War of Shadows. Legends said they were humanity's deadliest warriors, soldiers who never surrendered, soldiers who never stopped once sent. Counselor Doreen tried to calm the room. "These are just stories," he said. "Human myths." But the holographic map behind him began to flicker, sector after sector marked in red. All of them near Terran space, all of them lost communication. Panic spread through the galaxy. Trade markets collapsed. Entire planets went into emergency lockdown. Yet the human channels remained quiet. No message, no warning, no threat. Only silence. And somehow that silence was louder than any war cry. Inside, the Galactic Council, fear turned to desperation. They sent diplomats toward Earth to beg for answers. 5 envoys, each from a different empire. They promised safe travel and peace, but none of them returned. The last message from the envoy ship said, "We are being scanned. Something is reading our memories." Then the transmission cut off. Admiral Vireth's empire panicked first. They ordered full fleet deployment around their homeworld. But when the humans came, no fleet could stop them. The HMS Vengeance appeared out of nowhere, a black giant sliding from hyperspace like a shadow of death. Its surface burned faintly red with strange energy lines. The alien radars couldn't lock onto it, and before they could even raise shields, every weapon system shut down at once. Frith screamed over comms, "Fire everything!" But his ship didn't respond. His crew shouted that the controls were locked, that human code had invaded their systems. On the main screen appeared the emblem of Earth, glowing white and calm, and beneath it the words, "You called us bluffers." Seconds later, all signals from that region disappeared. When the Council received the report, their pride shattered. Thousands of worlds now demanded answers. Riots broke out on planets that once mocked Earth. Everyone asked the same question: what have the humans done? Meanwhile, deep in the Terran Command, Admiral Reyes watched silent screens filled with red marks showing captured systems. Commander Leon approached. "The Council is panicking." "Sir," she said quietly. Reyes didn't smile. He simply replied, "Good, panic means they're listening. Humanity didn't want destruction. They wanted memory. A reminder that peace is not a gift. It's a warning." Reyes gave a calm order. "Continue the Ghost Protocol, no contact. No mercy if provoked." And then turned to the window, watching the stars flicker like dying candles across the galaxy. Alien scientists tried to decode human tactics, but their systems kept crashing. Their AI refused to process Terran code. Even their supercomputers melted from data overload. It was as if humanity's technology had evolved beyond logic, beyond understanding. Then came the broadcast that silenced every world, every station and every ship. It wasn't long, only one sentence spoken in a calm human voice. "You said we bluff. Now you'll learn how we end games." The signal ended with a wave of static and the faint sound of a heartbeat. For the first time in centuries, the Galactic Council didn't laugh, they didn't argue. They simply sat there in absolute silence, staring at the dark between stars, knowing humanity was there. Watching, waiting, calculating, and far away, on the bridge of the Vengeance. Admiral Reyes looked at the map filled with blinking red worlds and whispered, "We warned them once. Now they'll remember why humans don't bluff." The galaxy finally stopped laughing, but it was already too late, because the war had already begun and humanity wasn't even angry yet, just annoyed. The galaxy was changing, one system at a time. Colonies that once sparkled with lights now floated dark and silent. No signals, no movement, no sound. Trade routes that had existed for centuries were gone, replaced by blank coordinates and broken transmissions. The Galactic Council called it communication failure, but everyone knew better. Humanity had moved, and when humans moved, something followed: silence. In the Grand Council chamber, leaders of dozens of species argued in panic, their voices echoing through the hall. "We must strike now." One shouted, "No, we must negotiate." Another cried. The room buzzed with fear disguised as pride. Only the Leary scholar sat quietly, her eyes on the holomap showing hundreds of blinking red zones expanding from Terran borders. She whispered, "They are not attacking randomly. They are cleaning paths." But no one listened. Meanwhile, in the shadows between stars, the Terran fleet drifted like ghosts, hidden from every radar, every satellite, every eye. Their engines made no sound. Their lights were dead, their ships blacker than the void itself. The HMS Vengeance led the formation, its hull scarred yet strong. Admiral Reyes stood on the bridge with his hands behind his back, eyes fixed on the holographic projection of the galaxy. "They still don't understand," he said quietly. "They think this is war." "It's not war, it's correction," Commander Leon approached. "Sir, our stealth grids are holding. The Council fleets can't trace us." Reyes nodded slowly. "Good. Let them fear shadows before they see the fire." Around them, the human officers worked in silence. No cheering, no celebration, only calm and purpose. On the other side of the galaxy, the Council prepared its largest fleet in history. Thousands of ships from over 50 worlds gathered in one place. The operation was called Final Dawn. Their mission was simple: enter Terran space and capture Earth. Admiral Tirav, once known for mocking humanity on live broadcasts, now led this desperate army. His voice trembled as he spoke to the cameras. "For the safety of the galaxy, we must end the Terran threat," he said. But deep inside he knew he was marching toward death. As their fleet entered the borders of Sol Sector, something strange happened. Their sensors began to glitch. Navigation systems went blind. Engines lost synchronization. Ships collided in confusion. Then one by one, every screen went black. Messages appeared on their consoles. Simple, calm, written in perfect galactic standard. "You were warned," Admiral Tirav shouted orders. But no one could hear him. Static filled every channel. Then from the darkness ahead, shapes began to appear. Massive ships with no visible thrusters, their hulls absorbing all light. And in the center of them, the HMS Vengeance, its crimson lines glowing like veins of molten fire. The human fleet did not attack immediately. They just moved forward slowly in perfect silence. Every alien ship that fired missed completely. Their targeting systems refused to lock. Their AI units reported errors they couldn't explain. Even time sensors began to malfunction. It was as if the void itself bent around the Terrans, inside the Council's war room. Panic spread, reports poured in. Ships gone. Systems offline. Fleets disappearing without combat. No explosions, no debris, just nothing. The Council's Supreme Commander slammed his hands on the table. "This is impossible. How can an entire armada vanish?" But the answer came seconds later. A message intercepted through the remains of their communication grid. A human voice saying calmly, "It's only impossible until humans decide otherwise." Across 100 worlds, that phrase spread like a virus. Until humans decide otherwise, it became the new whisper of fear. Back on the Vengeance, Admiral Reyes stood in the observation deck, watching the wreckage of disabled ships floating silently. He didn't smile, he didn't speak, he simply said, "Do not destroy them, disable and move on. They need to live long enough to remember." His officers obeyed. Every move precise, surgical, calculated. Humanity wasn't seeking glory. They were teaching a lesson, a painful one. Meanwhile, On the surface of alien worlds, chaos grew. Civilians demanded their government surrender. Propaganda channels stopped broadcasting. Even the galactic banks froze their networks as human cyber warfare infected their systems. Money, power, communication, all under Terran control. Within 2 weeks, half the galaxy's infrastructure was gone. Replaced by silence and fear, the once mighty council now held emergency meetings underground, hiding like prey from a hunter they had mocked. One scientist dared to speak the truth. "We thought they were primitive," he said, "but they were observing us, studying us, waiting until every one of our systems depended on their technology, and now they own everything at that moment." Every holoscreen in the council chamber flickered, showing the Terran emblem, glowing white over a black background. Then the voice of Admiral Reyes echoed, calm and emotionless. "You mistook patience for weakness. You mistook silence for surrender." The image faded, replaced by static. The council members looked at one another in horror, realizing they had lost long before the first shot was fired. They had been living inside humanity's shadow all along. Outside, the stars flickered faintly as the human fleet moved deeper into the galaxy. Silent, unstoppable, unseen, humanity didn't shout, didn't boast, they simply acted, and the universe trembled. For the first time in galactic history, every world understood the truth. Humans never bluff, they wait, and when they finally move, there is no storm, only silence. The galaxy had seen wars before, but nothing like this. Wars were loud, chaotic, filled with fire and screams, but when the humans moved, there was only silence, silence and precision, every strike perfectly planned, every enemy system collapsing like a candle in wind. The universe was finally learning what humans meant when they said they were annoyed. In the dark command chamber of the HMS Vengeance, Admiral Reyes stood motionless, his eyes fixed on the fading map of the Council's core systems one by one. Red zones blinked out as entire fleets surrendered without a single shot fired. Commander Lian turned to him, her voice barely a whisper. "Sir, the Council fleets are retreating. Do we pursue?" Reyes didn't answer immediately. He simply looked out the window at the stars and said, "No, not yet. Let them breathe. They need to understand what fear feels like." Across the galaxy, human ships emerged silently above enemy capitals, their black hulls blotting out the skies. They didn't fire on civilians, they didn't destroy cities. Instead, they targeted military hubs, weapon silos and communication towers. Everything that gave the Empire's power, one by one. Those symbols of strength vanished in white light, precise, surgical, merciless. On one alien world, the sky split open as a Terran dreadnought descended through the clouds. The people screamed and ran, expecting destruction, but instead, the ship hovered above the planet, silent and still. Then a voice echoed across every broadcast frequency, calm and cold. "This is not war, this is balance. You mocked peace. Now you will live under it." Moments later, every weapon on the planet shut down. Permanently, the galaxy's most powerful empires fell without understanding how. Their leaders begged for meetings, their soldiers refused to fight. Some even tried to flee to the edge of the void, hoping humanity wouldn't follow. But humanity already controlled the void. Back at the Council, panic turned to despair. Admiral Tarav, once the loudest critic of Earth, stood trembling before his peers. "We cannot win," he said, his voice breaking. "Their weapons are not our concern, their minds are. They knew us better than we knew ourselves." The room fell silent as the main screen flickered to life again, showing the face of Admiral Reyes, calm and emotionless, behind him. The faint hum of Terran machinery. "You invaded our systems, our borders, our trust," he said. "We warned you once, you laughed, you sent fleets. And now you call for peace. Humanity does not start wars, but we finish them." His eyes narrowed slightly. "And this time we are not angry, we are simply annoyed." The signal cut off, leaving the Council members shaking. They didn't know whether to reply or hide. In the following days, humanity began its quiet conquest. No parades, no announcements. They simply removed what was dangerous and left what was harmless. They erased weapons, collapsed military codes, and shut down entire drone armies across the galaxy. Fleets that once ruled the stars now floated powerless, their captains staring helplessly at dead consoles. One alien scientist tried to resist by rebooting his world's defense grid. But before he could finish, the entire system shut down, and a message appeared on his screen. "Please remain calm. Your weapons are being recycled for peaceful use," he screamed, and ran from the lab, realizing the terrifying truth. Humans were not destroying. They were redesigning in the shadows of a ruined empire, A group of alien generals plotted to launch one last desperate counterattack. Gathering stolen ships and experimental weapons, they called it Operation Dawn's Edge, hoping to strike at the Terran fleet before it reached their homeworlds. But the operation ended before it began. Every ship in their fleet detonated at once, simultaneously, as if someone had pressed a single invisible button. Across the galaxy, screens flickered again, showing the Terran emblem, glowing white and calm. Beneath it appeared one simple message. Stop testing us. From that moment, the galaxy truly understood. Humans didn't need anger to destroy. They only needed reason. Meanwhile, on Earth, the people remained calm. Cities glowed quietly beneath the stars. Children played, factories hummed, and the leaders of humanity spoke softly in underground chambers. They had no interest in conquest, only in safety. Admiral Reyes stood before the United Terran Council, his uniform still marked with the dust of battle. The galaxy thinks we are monsters, he said. But monsters destroy without purpose. We destroy to prevent destruction. And that is what makes us human. Commander Leon nodded. They will remember this for centuries, she said. Reyes gave a faint smile. Good. Memories last longer than fear. In the far reaches of space, the remnants of the Galactic Council watched helplessly as their last defense worlds fell silent. Humanity didn't occupy them, didn't enslave them. They simply turned off the stars around them, cutting their power grids and leaving them alone with their thoughts. The lesson was spreading faster than light. The galaxies whispered to each other, do not provoke Earth, do not test their patience. Because when humans get annoyed, entire worlds go dark. And through it all, the HMS Vengeance drifted silently across the void, its red lines glowing faintly like embers of a dying fire. Admiral Reyes stood at the helm and said quietly, prepare the final message because humanity wasn't done yet. One last warning remained. One final lesson the galaxy had to learn. The cost of ignoring a human promise. The stars were quiet now, once they had burned bright with fleets and fire. But after humanity's arrival, the galaxy had fallen into a strange peace. Worlds that once roared with pride now whispered in fear. Even the void itself seemed to hold its breath, waiting. Inside the great chamber of the HMS Vengeance, Admiral Reyes stood before a massive display showing the Galactic Council's homeworld. A blue-green jewel floating helplessly in the dark. Commander Leon approached slowly. All systems are ready, sir, she said. Her voice soft, Reyes nodded. Begin the transmission across the galaxy. Every screen, every radio, every comm channel went black. Then one symbol appeared, the sigil of Earth glowing white against the void, and the voice of Admiral Reyes echoed in every mind. Calm, steady, unstoppable. You mocked us, you tested us, and you ignored our warnings, he said. We asked for peace, you chose pride. We asked for distance, you crossed our borders. Now you ask for mercy, but humanity is not cruel. Humanity is fair, every world listened. Leaders, soldiers, children, all frozen. The voice continued. This is not vengeance, this is memory. From this moment forward, no fleet shall enter Terran space. No weapon shall aim toward Earth, and no empire shall claim dominion over another without remembering what happens when humans are annoyed. The message ended with silence, but the silence itself carried weight. It lingered like thunder after lightning. On the council world, panic broke into tears. The proud generals who once laughed now fell to their knees. Counselor Doreen whispered, they could have destroyed us. But they didn't. The Lyri scholar stood beside him, her eyes filled with awe. That's their strength, she said softly. Humans don't destroy to win, they destroy to stop the game. Moments later, the Terran fleet appeared above the council's skies. Thousands of black ships forming a silent ring around the planet, their red lights pulsing in rhythm, not attacking, only watching. Admiral Reyes spoke again. We are not conquerors. We are reminders. We protect peace, even from those who fear it. And with that, the entire fleet began to fade, one ship after another dissolving into the darkness of hyperspace, leaving behind only trails of light on Earth. The people watched the same broadcast, not with celebration, but with calm understanding. Factories slowed, soldiers stood down. The sky was quiet. Humanity had proven its point without shouting, without cruelty, without need for applause. Back in the depths of space aboard the Vengeance, Commander Leon turned to Admiral Reyes. It's over, she said. Reyes nodded, his face unreadable. No, he replied softly. It's remembered. He looked out the window at the stars. That's enough. Centuries later, stories of the Vengeance became legend. Children on distant planets whispered about the day the humans came, not to conquer but to correct. Historians called it the Day of Silence. Poets called it the Lesson of Earth. And soldiers everywhere learned a new commandment. Never test the patience of humankind, even the void carried their legend. Travelers claimed that sometimes, when crossing old battle sectors, they could still see faint red lights moving among the stars, silent ships watching from afar, guardians of a promise made long ago. And every time a new empire rose with arrogance, they remembered the phrase that had ended an age, carved into monuments and burned into memory across thousands of worlds. Humans don't rage. They remove, because humanity never bluffs, never boasts and never forgets. They warn once, they act once, and the galaxy never makes the same mistake again.